the Pau Grand Prix in southern France. This is a classic among classic of open wheel formula races, and excited to have found some really cool versions of the circuit in Assetto Corsa. The Pau Grand Prix, for some of you, may be a race that you know all about and you've heard of 100 times before, and for others, this might be the first time you've ever heard of it. So let me indulge myself for a moment here. The Pau Grand Prix is a historic formula race. It ranks up there with some of the other great formula races, being the Monaco Grand Prix and the like. It started in the 1930s and was a Formula One or Grand Prix car style race throughout those years, having winners such as Nuvolari winning in the 30s. And slowly over time, lesser formulas have become the norm. I believe in the mid-60s, this race went from Formula One style cars to Formula 2 style cars, just increased the entrance and the competitiveness of the race itself. And as rules evolved, it began running F3 cars, ran Formula 3000 for a while, and I think these days is back to running F3 style cars, but it's one of those races up there with the Macau Grand Prix and some of the others that a young formula driver these days wants to win. If you look at the list of winners, I think Jim Clark has the most wins overall with 4 or 5, but Lewis Hamilton has won this race, Alain Prost has won this race, so there's a lot of history here with this. So this is a circuit. It was built for Assetto Corsa, I believe by the Jeannot team, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They've got 3 different versions of this circuit over at Race Department. There's a 1967 version of this circuit, which is the one I'll be racing today, but there's also a 1974, which I believe has one little chicane added in, and then a 2017 version, which is just more up to date with what it looks like today with barriers and such. But overall, the circuit itself at Pau has not changed very much since these days, just more safety, of course, but it is a pretty unsafe track even these days, just due to the high speed and it being a street circuit overall. So I'm in Assetto Corsa today. I'm going to do a short race around it. I thought I'd bring back the Formula Junior cars from the F3 classic tracks. I think I called them F3 cars in my last video. They're really Formula Junior cars, as I've been corrected, but great fun. I'm going to race the other one today, the Miker, and these are by Sergio Loro over at F3 Classic Tracks. Highly recommend checking out these cars. I think the pairing of the circuit with this style of car, although these would have been smaller than the cars that would have raced here in the 60s, more like the cars today, honestly, just power-wise and everything. But I think these pair very well, and I've been having a lot of fun racing the AI around here. A note about the AI, I had to redo the AI for this circuit to get them to race as good or as fun as you're seeing them here today. I'll do what I can to put my AI files that you would add to the 1967 version of this track in the description. Your mileage will vary. There's so many variables that go into AI and how they'll perform that unless you choose this exact set of cars around this circuit, it may not work the same. But I figured that'll help out for anybody that's looking to have a little more fun around here. So why don't we get started with this Pau Grand Prix. So here we are at the back of the grid at Pau. I'm gonna let the AI get away from me just a little bit here, off the line. The lights are out. And everybody stops on the grid. Once I get away here, things will straighten out and get going, but the AI still can't figure out how to do the starts. There we go. We'll get away from the line then, around this tight right-hander here, or fast right-hander, and now towards a tight right-hander. The first turn, site of many incidents in the real Grand Prix. So we'll come down to second gear, just ease it on through in this opening lap, side by side with another car. The track will narrow up here quite a ways. More narrow looking in the modern circuit, but it's just the fact that there's no walls on this one. But the curbs, they still ruin your race all the same. As then we'll come to the end of this straightaway, down to third, down to second. A left-hander under an overpass. Try to get the throttle on for a short shoot here towards a right-hander. Is now another hairpin. Come up the outside of a couple of these guys. Slow going on the opening lap, but then we'll head into the park. Stuck behind another Miker. So the thing I didn't mention in the intro to this video is this is a front-wheel drive formula car, which I didn't actually realize that at first, and I was driving it thinking, wow, it understeers so much, but it's a front-wheel drive formula car, and once you realize that, it becomes not really easier, but you understand the characteristics of it more. And Sergio has done an awesome job at modeling this car. It feels completely different from the Modena, the car I was racing in the last Formula Junior video, but quite fun to master. Anybody who races touring cars will know how a front-wheel drive car handles, and this one absolutely has those characteristics. Try to throw it up the inside as we go down, I believe what they call the descent, and then through a high-risk section here. Whoa, I think I'm side by side. Oh, gonna have to back out of it there. Car in front hops on the curbs, sparks flying. This now will come down to end the lap. He decided to do that on me. That was not me at all. This will come complete the first lap. I think I got a car trying to come up the inside, not able to do it. Only 4 gears in this car, so the gearing's a bit long, but up to P17 after the first lap. Try to get things straight for the first corner, down to second gear, and just roll it in. This car, being a front wheel drive rather, formula car, you do have to push it a bit deeper into corners than you would normally would a car from this period. There's no downforce, but since getting on the throttle only produces understeer, you gotta go deep in the corner to get enough speed out of the thing. Let's see if I can get up the inside of this black car here as we'll head to the park. Tight right-hander there. And I think the Assetto Corsa AI, once we got strung out here, they do an alright job. They're a little chaotic, but that fits this junior formula style racing, I feel, a little bit. Spit of flame from the car in the front. It's a very atmospheric circuit. It's really fun to drive on this version with no barriers, just some hay bales here and there. Down a second gear. Really tight chicane there. All these corners have names, of course, but they're all in French, and I cannot pronounce them, I don't believe, so I'll let you look it up yourselves. But through this tight hairpin, try to get on that power as soon as I can, as now we'll head down the hill. Not gonna be able to pass through here. This is just such a tight section of the circuit. Oh, just dancing around those curbs as now we'll come towards the line. I'm in the slipstream this time. In the real race, you see them all slipstreaming. It's kind of like Macau. I mentioned that in the intro. Whoa, all of them fan out in front. Looks like you got a red car stopped on the outside there. No doubt some mechanical troubles. Starting another lap here. Pretty much any circuit you bring these Formula Junior cars to, it just creates some awesome racing. They're just able to be raced anywhere. They don't take a lot of space to have a good time. And a circuit like this, I feel, is just totally built for them. So try to get on the outside of this car here, jump up the inside. This guy's got some rear end damage. Whoa. Basically park it on the apex. And then try to use all the power this car has to get away, able to pass him there. Through the park once again. These corners, very easy to run wide, clip the curbing, bend the suspension, and ruin your race. Oh, and a car, wow, spun out there in that chicane, just out of the way, luckily, of the racing line. This is one of those circuits where you could come around the corner and then feast your eyes on a car parked in the middle of the racetrack. So we'll come to the end of the lap. A little pack in front of me. I'll check the pit board this time by. This driver's falling out of the race. For a big move in front of me here. So we're 5 laps to go, P12. Down a second gear, try not to over rev the car too much. Hard to actually see the tachometer going at a T1 because of the sun glare. One of those things that is a nice thing to have in some of these newer sims. Bright sunny day here in southern France, of course. side by side under the tunnel. But I'll have the best line coming into the hairpin here. Oh, very tight. Side by side with this JPS painted or gold leaf painted Modena. Hopefully they picked up this car that was in the chicane up here, but nowhere really to pass as these two are going to try to go side by side in front of me. The Modena overall, that's the car on the left there, a bit quicker than the Micro. Oh, the two in front touch. I'm going to try to take advantage as well, dive up the inside. So come down the hill, right on the back of this Modena. Oh, a car sideways there. Whew, somehow able to avoid him. Luckily, just saw that just in time. Easy to get fixated on the car right in front and miss something like that ahead. You see some of the worst accidents in these types of cars is when the driver's behind another. So we'll come across the line though. 4 laps to go, up to P9 then. On skill alone, as some would say. But it's fun to race this track. It's fun to try out the other two versions of it as well. Go to the 74 version, which is just a few years later, but the track is so different with all the walls and things added. Clearly safety progressed because up until 67, as this circuit is presented in, the track looks almost identical to this. You can go back and watch videos of Nuvolari winning in 1935 and the track doesn't look much different than this. Maybe the Michelin Man there is new. But it does afford a good sim opportunity. You could race any pre-60s car here and it would be at home. Difficult track though with the higher horsepower. Absolutely, I think these cars, like I've been saying, very well suited for something like this. Just clipping those apexes nicely. A lot of understeer in this car. You really can't get it out. Anybody who has driven front engine cars knows, or front wheel drive cars knows, that they just naturally have that understeer. You gotta learn how to drive them differently. So we'll come through these corners. I hope this car has been cleaned up. Looks like it has. Come and complete another lap, just a few to go now. So 3 laps to go, come through the fast kink. Corner is deceptively difficult if you get the line wrong. There's a wall right there on the exit. This circuit could not be any more different than the Südschleife where I ran these cars last time, but I feel like it suits them just as well. There's fast parts of the circuit, but nothing too long of a straightaway. So it keeps it interesting, lots of turns. So get right up to the back of these guys now. That Modena has got a little more power though, and certainly through the faster corners it has the advantage being rear wheel drive. I'm just gonna start understeering about halfway through this one, and you could basically power through that with that car. But that makes racing interesting, having not so spec of a car series. Go down to second here through the tight chicanes. Oh, just touching that curve there on the inside. Don't want to do that too many times. And of course, heel and toe with the H pattern shifter, 4-speed. 4-speed's a nice number of gears. There's not too many that you have to be shifting every second. Ooh, and get lost in some of these corners. Getting down the hill though, in the slipstream, we got a nice little pack here, the 4 of us. Recipes for disasters. Oh, the car in front's gonna look up the inside. It's gonna make the hole in the air bigger for me. Just 2 laps to go. Almost ran a little wide there. Stuck behind a maroon car now. Oh, I was hoping I could get alongside of him there, but I could maybe lengthen or shorten third gear a little bit. Side by side though, got the good line, at least coming into this left-hander. Down a second, locking up the brakes a bit, but he backs out of it. See if I can dive it up the inside. Whoa, try not to hit wheels. No doubt gave me a little bit of a space there. Using the entire rev range just to try to get as much out of this engine as I can. Oh, and another driver out of the race. So I'm closing in on this suspiciously Lotus colored car. Oh, he takes a bad line. He's got a little bit of rear end damage there. Takes a late entry. You actually want to come in outside on this corner, clip the exit. He does it better than I do. Oh, and he hits the wall there. Oh, just nowhere to get past him. Kills my speed on the straightaway. I think he's probably going to go for the pits after a hit like that. That car's been beat up, but now we'll start the final lap. Whoa, locking it up a little bit into T1. Just roll it on through as fast as I can. See the cars behind me, I think, trying to fight for position there. Down a second, we'll leave it under the tunnel. Under the overpass there. Circuit opens up a bit into a city square here. Try to keep it in second, keep that horsepower. And through the park for the last time. Put it down a third for this right-hander. Might be able to go a little quicker through here. Certainly in the Modena. Almost losing the car. Oh, gonna spin it out in the chicane on the last lap. The car's behind me, able to brake in time. Oh, bouncing over the curbs. Spin the car around, but losing 2 positions on the final lap here. See if I can do anything here through the last few corners. Throwing the car, but not going to be able to catch. The Modena definitely has some speed on me there. Too bad for the mistake on the last lap, but overall, what a good race this has been. These cars are perfect for this circuit. Absolutely perfect. Overall, another great car and track combination. The AI, once we got through the start, were pretty good. I guess no more crazy than an online race would be, or maybe even a real, Formula 3, Formula Junior type race. Do quite well. Maybe I could work on them a little bit more, but quite pleased with what I'm getting out of Assetto Corsa and a circuit like this. Modeled very well. You can see the road has so much detail in it. The scenery, I think they're still actually working on the track, but I feel like the scenery is very good. It's only going to get better from here, though. So go and pick up this track. I'll put the link to it in the description. As always, I'll put the link to the cars as well with Sergio Loro's site. And go pick those up, and in fact, pick up everything he makes because it's very, very good. But yeah, very happy with the racing around Pau in the Formula Junior cars. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again next time.